vibeBooks presents Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. Summary. Gregor Samsa awoke one morning from uneasy dreams to find himself transformed in his bed into a monstrous insect. This is the haunting beginning of Franz Kafka's Metamorphosis, a novella that confronts alienation, identity, and the silent cruelties of family and society. Though fantastical in its premise, the story unfolds with suffocating realism, making Gregor's bizarre condition feel eerily plausible. Gregor is a traveling salesman, the sole breadwinner of his family. His life is a monotonous cycle of work and exhaustion. He despises his job, but clings to it out of duty. Kafka presents him not as a heroic figure, but as someone numbed by obligation. And when he wakes as an insect, his first thought is not horror at his transformation, but anxiety about being late for work. This absurdity is precisely Kafka's genius. The grotesque becomes mundane. Horror is overshadowed by the petty concerns of daily life. The family's reaction to Gregor's transformation is gradual but devastating. At first, they are confused and frightened. His sister Gret brings him food, and his parents avoid him. But as time passes, compassion decays into revulsion. Gregor, once their provider, becomes a burden. The roles are reversed. Gret takes on the responsibility he once held, and the family adapts to a life without him. They resent him now, not because of what he's done, but because of what he's become. Gregor's isolation deepens. He hides under the sofa. He stops eating. His voice becomes unintelligible. Even his thoughts, once practical and human, grow faint and dreamlike. His humanity, though intact within, is invisible to those around him. They see only the insect. Kafka forces us to ask, what makes someone human? Is it a body? A voice? Usefulness? One of the most tragic elements of the story is the silence. Gregor never explains his feelings to his family, and they never try to understand his inner world. There is no attempt at empathy. Kafka portrays a family that retreats into fear and denial. They speak of him as it, and eventually decide he must disappear. The novella explores more than just physical transformation. It's a metaphor for alienation, at work, in society, within one's own family. Gregor's change is merely the physical manifestation of the emotional distance that had always existed. Kafka seems to say that Gregor was already dehumanized before he ever turned into a bug. His life was mechanical, thankless, and invisible. And what of Gret, the sister who initially shows him kindness? Her arc is perhaps the most painful. She begins by caring for Gregor, but as time passes, her patience wanes. She grows up. She becomes practical, cold. She tells their parents that they must get rid of him. Her betrayal is quiet, rational, and final. It is not born of malice, but of fatigue. She sees Gregor not as a brother, but as something inhuman, blocking their future. The final scene is haunting. Gregor dies alone, in filth, starved and wounded. The cleaning lady discovers his body and casually disposes of it. There is no ceremony, no mourning. Only relief. The family, now unburdened, goes on a walk. They speak of a brighter future. Grief stretches and grows. The story ends not with grief, but with renewal. It is a chilling reminder of how quickly the world moves on without those it no longer finds useful. Kafka's prose is spare, precise, and unrelenting. There is no sentimentality, no escape. The absurd is presented as ordinary. The emotional impact is cumulative, pressing down on the reader until Gregor's fate feels both inevitable and unbearable. From a symbolic perspective, Metamorphosis is often interpreted through existential and psychoanalytic lenses. Some see Gregor's transformation as a representation of mental illness or depression, conditions that isolate and deform one's sense of self. Others read it as a critique of capitalist society, where human value is measured solely by productivity. Still others see the story as a deeply personal allegory, reflecting Kafka's own troubled relationship with his father and feelings of inadequacy. The genius of Metamorphosis is that it resists easy interpretation. It remains open, ambiguous. It doesn't tell us what to feel, but forces us to confront discomfort. Readers are left with questions. What would I have done in Gregor's place? Or in Gret's? At what point do we stop recognizing the humanity in others? Kafka writes with a kind of quiet despair. But within that despair, there is deep insight. He understood the fragile threads that connect us, the expectations of family, the compromises of work, the longing for love, and the fear of being alone. In Metamorphosis, those threads are severed, one by one. As a story, it is unforgettable. As a metaphor, it is infinite. Gregor Samsa lives on in our collective imagination not because he turned into a bug, but because in that grotesque form we see ourselves. We see our fears, our failures, our forgotten selves. Kafka holds up a mirror. What we see is not the insect, but the isolation. For English learners, this novella offers more than vocabulary and grammar. It offers a unique tone, one that is matter-of-fact yet tragic, surreal yet grounded. The sentences are deceptively simple, but the emotions they carry are complex. Reading Kafka is an exercise in emotional intelligence. It demands patience, empathy, and thought. In just a few short chapters, Kafka captures the quiet erosion of identity and love. He shows how easily people can be discarded and how society cloaks cruelty in routine. But he also reveals something else, the endurance of the inner voice. Gregor, even in his final moments, thinks of his family, of music, of something beyond his shell. That flicker of humanity remains, even when no one else can see it. Thank you for tuning in to vibeBooks. We hope you enjoyed this journey. Please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing to our channel. Check out our playlist or explore vibeBooks for more classic stories. Until next time, happy listening.